right, so welcome to a day in the life, and it starts at 1 a.m. with me wrapping up my work for the day and then doing some doom scrolling and then going to take a good rest, right? So I'm a tosser and a turner apparently, and so about 1 a.m. I turned off my doom scrolling and fell asleep, got some rest in, and then, the day came and I rose, did a little bit of stretching out of some of my tension. I don't always do these things. This is just, I know it's a big day for me. So you guys are going to join me for a day in the life, but a day in the life changes all the time. But basically I get up and I get started on my day and I try to get myself moving, try to move forward as quickly as I can without thoughts to step back. So what I try to do, especially if I've gotten a good productive day the day before, my sticky notes have come down. We always have a list of priorities and backlog. If you've ever done product development, you know a little bit about this process, but you always have a prioritized backlog. Always contributing to it, and it's always coming in. You're taking feedback, and then you're always reviewing with, what the business needs are. And since this day, and I'll talk about this a little later, I'm starting a new sales process. I am going over, and preparing for a new challenge that we're taking on. So this new challenge is gonna be me rebuilding our sales process from the bottoms up. When I'm not heavily involved in our sales discussions, things just haven't gone where we want it to, and it makes sense. Our product is very new. It's new for the market. It's, a paradigm shift in how people traditionally operate. So it's not something that we can just apply traditional methods. We need to rebuild it from the bottom up. And so that way I'm not distracted by any of the work that I'm actively doing and not thinking about my backlog priorities. I'm just putting sticky notes and organizing myself of all the things that I'm going to be doing this day and trying to get to. I usually don't get to them all, but make a strong effort. So that's about it for my morning routine. It's not something that's too complex. Today, since I try to wake up naturally, I don't even know what time it is. Yeah, so I think I woke up at like 5:15. I think we went to bed post dome scrolling at around like 1 a.m. I went to bed at like 1 a.m. Fell asleep, and first thing I do, wake up, put on some clothes, convince myself that I don't need to go back to bed, and then I'll go into the office. I'll review if there's any emails or any notifications that came in through that rest period of mine. And then I'll look over and try to plan out the day. So anything that I want to do that day that I know is a big priority. I really like sticky notes. Not that I don't have everything, most of my items are already in the computer they're already in the cloud and documented for the team, and that way anybody can have access to it in stored long form. But sticky notes allow me to put something outside of my virtual space that allows me to keep that focus. So even if I put on a movie or listen to some music, whatever I'm doing, whatever window I'm on, the key tasks for the day are still outlined on a sticky note beneath my monitor or on my laptop or sometimes on a book. But the sticky note is a way for me to just keep that there, but not have it occupy my mind, but keep it in my periphery, so that way I can, make sure that the key tasks get done. And now I am gonna get some water with some creatine, and I'm gonna do a protein shake. Some light protein shake probably, leave that with the creatine in there. And then I'll go to the gym and do my cardio. So that way, at 6 a.m. I get my cardio done, 6:30. I need to be back by 9 so I can eat breakfast, and 9:30 my barber's coming over to do a haircut, and I'll be working while he does that. But that's the early morning routine. Nothing fancy. I do some light stretching if something's tight, but look, get up, put some clothes on. If your clothes is not already on, review your tasks for the day, and then wake your body up is my strategy. So I'm gonna go and do a workout, and that gets the job done for me there. Go to the gym and figure out a way to get on top of that Stairmaster. Once we finally get on there, figure out a way to go hard. But once we get off, we'll be happy and proud of ourselves. Woo. All right, it's a fake woo, but man, I can't wait until my barber comes in and cleans this shit up today. All right, gotta defend the tower. 'Cause here I go again. Here I go again on my own. So I missed this argument the first time around, but I wanted to capture its contemplation. I'm listening to Taleb right now, and Taleb mentioned, about research. And as somebody who is in the engineering fields, right, for software, I think it's really interesting, right? He mentions not that research and science-based, doing things based on science tends to lead to overcorrected insights into the future. And he mentions that, tinkerers tend to really maximize efficiency and output. So his comparison to the DARPA project and how much money was spent there, but it was research spent on a backup program. And then a lot of the net value ended up coming from search and people and PCs connected to the internet and people tinkering, right? So not that the baseline research doesn't have its extreme value, but to maximize the value of something, you have to tinker, you have to edit, you have to fail. And that's the core concept of anti-fragile, right? So anti-fragility requires you to have some randomness, requires you to look at things from different perspectives and not bring theological thoughts, right? Not bring just the core principles of the theory, but actually explore and live it and experience. And experimentation is ultimately the crux of most of our research, he argues. And I find that really interesting, right? A lot of inspiration comes from a blend of experiences and the gaps between them being filled. So just looking at the pure straight shot focus, it narrows the focus too much rather than allowing it to expand its potential avenues of outreach. I kind of agree. All right, so cardio. I have broken a lot of headphones from cardio. I sweat exuberantly, which is a great thing long term, but I've also spent thousands of dollars on headphones over the last few years because, my requirements for headphones are a little different. But so you'll see me, always cleaning up my sweat. But this is my morning cardio, which I've fallen in love with. When I started using the Stairmaster, I couldn't even get on it for 5 minutes. I remember it was like less than 4 minutes and at a level 4. And it's crazy now that I can even get to jogging. It's more than sprinting for me. Even it's for only up to 1 minute at a time. I usually spend about 4 minutes at about, level 6 to 8 on the Stairmaster while I rest here and, clean up some of the sweat and get the emotional, physiological responses that come to play back in check and recover myself for the next sprint. And this lets me maximize my cardio output. So it's a lot of fun. I've learned to really enjoy this whole process. It's, really, really intense for me. It's like an intense form of meditation. If you like to drown yourself out in like music or anything like that, you'll understand. But for me, it's very similar. Now, I did cut this video, so you'll see that I hopped back on and it didn't actually take me 4 minutes, but there was actually 4 minutes in between these. Sometimes I'll go a little less if I'm feeling good, but usually at that point I have to make up for it, right? At some point. So if I rest like only 3 minutes and I feel good or a good song comes on, I'll leverage that song and I'll push for another sprint. But on average, it's still, I'll then take a 5-6 minute slower period or something like that if I, jump too far ahead. The averages all come back to play, but I'm always just trying to look for a way to output my maximum. And and sometimes I can't even get, my full minute of runs and sprints going. Sometimes I start too early and, I try not to judge myself and just try to analyze objectively my process and, use that to talk to myself to continue to the right way. But now cardio's over. I've hit about 35 minutes. Today was actually 36 minutes, I believe. And once I'm done, I'm exhausted. I'll hop off the Stairmaster and usually go right, and I take my picture, post on Instagram, it's my Instagram stories, and just share my update. I've found that sharing keeps me focused, it keeps me pushing myself, it keeps me accountable, and so it's been very helpful in that process. And I still take the same damn picture. It's nothing fancy, but it's more for the routine and not for the quality of the picture, right? All right, back from the gym, and then gonna eat some quick breakfast. I have no idea what I'm gonna eat right now, but once I have my macros in for breakfast, then I'll be able to go ahead and do the next piece of work. And I'll get a haircut. My barber will show up and we'll work while he does his work. So my barber came over. He got me a haircut, cleaned me up, and because I burned my hand, I'm putting my hand in water while I am either, when I'm not actually doing some work, I usually watch Bloomberg for investment news, and that's how that goes. But looking good. My guy did a good job. All right, so now that my hair is cut and I had another protein shake just because time is on a crunch today. Today's a big day for me. So just like normally I share my challenges, I do challenges for myself, personally health. I like to have challenges in the business, right? And so one of the challenges we've been facing in the business that we need to overcome is the fact that, sales is something that I haven't been hands-on enough. I've been very hands-on on product and getting our latest features up, but I've outsourced a lot of work on sales and marketing. So I am committing so that I can better train the salespeople to doing a 10,000 contact outreach blitz personally. So the next 100 days, I'm going to contact 100 people per day until I reach 10,000 people, and we refine our process for selling. And once that process is refined, I will then digest the data back and be able to build a new training system for our sales team and marketing support. So all of that is something that's super, super key, is that sometimes you have to put your hand in the mud. So I've had to do that with product, I've had to do that with marketing, I have to do that with sales, and we have to do that with all departments. We have to get inside that part of the business and work in it sometimes so that we can then work on it. And everybody tells you, oh, you don't want to be working in your business, but sometimes you have to step in. You have to step in and you have to make it happen. You have to learn things that you don't know how to learn. You have to learn new things. You have to, so that you can apply your vision to that and then train your team to do the next step and do that efficiently. Sometimes you hire the right people. They've got it all done. They're geniuses. It's fantastic. Sometimes your product is unique enough, it's a new enough market, and you have to be able to take those things into consideration. So I have crafted some scripts initially, and I am going to get this camera set up here because I don't like holding the camera. All right. So this part of the challenge is for me personally, but then I will be issuing this challenge also across the team, where once I've refined a process and as I see the process getting better and our results going up, right? So I expect that at first my conversion rates are going to be lower than our prior process, and it's completely fine, right? It's a learning process. We're going first principles, bottoms up. That's expected. But as I see improvements and I can apply those patterns and scale it out, I will start to integrate those and test those out across other people as well. But it's important to just go hard as hell, right? And make sure that I'm putting in my all into this, right? That's just the important part. Sometimes you have to be able to step in and show what needs to be done. And for this product, it's very much a vision that's come from me. It's a product that's been very hands-on for me. I'm able to scale out some engineering tasks and do all those things. So I need to step in to the sales step more than I have in the year. So usually for key deals I'm involved, and a lot of these conversations I'm involved, and we tend to have better results in conversations from that. So I want to make sure that I can take that to the next level, so I can take it to the team and those as systems and processes. So this is a 10,000 contact blitz challenge for Recipe Pro, and me personally stepping in so that we can do that. So that's what today's about. Well, that's what the next couple hours are about. I'll have other work to do in other hours, but for the next a couple hours, I'm going to try and see how many people I can reach out to, and how many people we can get going there. So we'll see how that goes. I'll put a time lapse on so that we can capture my frustrations and my efforts and my learning process here. But that's essentially part of it, right? So in my life as an entrepreneur, in a business operator, this is always been part of my process. In any business that I've done, and I've been in several businesses, um, when I was, we're not going to go into my background, but every time it's about being on the ground floor of that process, applying first principles and new thoughts to it, learning what best practices and current state are, looking at it from my perspective and seeing what the gaps are and where we can make it better and how we can deliver a better product or service. And in this case, my work is to deliver a better service, improve communication, and I need to put my hands in the mud in our sales process. I had to do that with River BI, but that was much easier and more natural for me because I had great mentorship in the sales business of services and solutions, and I've seen a lot, right? So because I worked in that area as a delivery consultant, as an analyst, as a senior architect, as a role leader, and then being heavily involved with client relationships as well, I understood that process well. I had been in the mud, so consulting for me was very easy for me to, when I needed to hire people, to train them on it. This is a net new skill set for me in terms of selling software to enterprises, right? Even though as a consultant, we do help sell Salesforce, we can apply some of that knowledge, but it's different technology. So it's a different sales process, a different conversation, and those slight nuances make a big, big difference. So we'll see how it goes. All right, so just getting ready here for the day and to make my initial push, bringing up all the information that I need, making sure that, all the leads that I've preloaded into this particular challenge are there and that I can start working on my outreach efforts, right? So in this part, I'm just, getting ready for the day of work and getting started. So I'm going to start crafting my first messages, start reaching out to people, and just go through the work. So I'm just doing, looking up from our lists of contacts, initial list of leads and contacts that have either come to us from some of the Dreamforce sponsorships that we've done, from the local Salesforce community events that we've done, from our network that we've outreached to, or people that we've captured and done any newsletters and webinars and a lot of the standard things that you'll find as best practices in these fields to gauge interest, lead magnets, things of that nature. So we're just going through those, familiarizing myself with each individual before I send any messages out to them, and then just sending messages, right? And I'm just trying to provide as much variety as I can. I do have a strict subset of topics. As I mentioned earlier, we have a loose script that we're trying to hit, so points that we want to go for, but that's this process. And I'll share a little bit more in a bit. All right. So I just want to document this for the initial review of this process. It's been tough for me, man. Sales is not an easy structure to go through. I'm good at sales calls. I'm good on the call on the fly, but all this business development work is a new experience for me to be so engaged with. There's a couple problems, right? It's like, I do have automation systems that I'm not leveraging for just to automatically blast out, for example, a bunch of LinkedIn messages, because right now I had to go take a break, go for a walk, and I was on my phone and going through contact by contact that I have from my list and reaching out to people and customizing messages and making sure that it was tailored to them and look for outreach and personalized and things of that nature. And there's plenty of ways that we can automate that and do it at scale. But at this point, it's about brute force to get the data back and understanding. So I am not using a lot of what we would use by default, right? So I'm not using our any of our marketing email software. I'm not using any of our LinkedIn outreach automation softwares. I'm not using anything for SMS automation or phone calls. I'm just doing them and then logging them, right? So far, it's embarrassing to say, but the last 2 hours, I don't know how much of that time I've been directly doing action, because it's a different cognitive load for me, and which my brain gets tired when it's learning new stuff, right? Think fast, think slow. It's a lot of work, right? And my brain wants to go right to solutioning, right? How can I design ways to automate this and make it simple? Or my engineering brain's trying to take over versus I need to brute force this, right? So there's a lot of time so far where I've needed to take a break. So so far I have 22 people that I've outreached to and delivered custom messages. And then we have problems. I just want to document this for later to help make the systems better, make sure we have an optimal system for the sales team. And I want to get it out of my brain so that I'm not thinking about it all the time. But yeah, the problem, if you're going to send a message on a platform and then you want to be able to get that data back, you need to then log that message in the system, right? So what I've been doing is sending a blast of messages, right? I'll send 4 or 5 messages to people. Then I'll go back and I'll insert those into our logs and make sure that we have the message, the topic, the context, the person, the lead noted. And I've spent over 2 hours to get that done. I'll reach 20 people, which is just ridiculously slow in my brain. But that's the process so far. And when you're putting yourself in the mud. And so I'm putting my hands in the mud and I'm making the push. Something that's been helpful for me is also having different tools to use it on. So I go on my desktop for a little bit and I'll send a couple messages, and then I did it on my laptop. Just lying and lounging around helped me stay focused. I do the same thing when I'm coding, or I do the same thing when I'm doing most things. Is switching environments helps me a lot. I went for a walk. I got 10 people contacted on my phone, so that was surprisingly efficient. So I might use the phone a little bit more. We'll look at that in the future. But yeah, so 22 people contacted. Need to wrap up all the logs still, and then gonna probably have some lunch or something for lunch, and then I'm gonna continue. So this looks like it's gonna bleed into all of my day for me to get this done. Hopefully I get more efficient at it, but it's a day in the life, right? Like it's a tougher day for me to be shooting this, but that's the process. And in the meantime, I had to deal with other stuff. I got some interruptions. I had some contracts that we had to review. I had to reach out to some of our partners. I had to do some internal stuff that needed my eyes, and and I've been focused on product for so long that I'm just thinking about product all the time. So that's something that I need to have a system for to offset, and I do have that system, so I just need to leverage that system more. Make sure that those things aren't getting in the way of this context, right? I need to focus on this. But very likely today, once I go to everywhere I go, my phone will be with me, and I will be slowly chipping away at that number, and I'll probably be doing lots of my logging tonight, but I'll probably go to the gym. Since I burnt my hand today also, while trying to boil some water, I let it spill. I'm probably gonna have a lighter day at the gym, so I'll probably take my phone, rest in between sets, and I'll be outreaching to people. And that's the life of a salesman, of a business development, right? That's the life of an account executive. They are always looking to make progress in one area and then following up in the other area. So even as I start to get more replies and more contacts back and schedules, it's not just that I have to reach out to 100 new people a day. I'll have to follow up with those 100 people through a different medium if they haven't engaged. So my plan is to go through one avenue with each person and then see what their preferred contact method ultimately is going to be. If they aren't able to pick up a phone call, I'll follow up with a LinkedIn message or an SMS, and then I'll send an email another day. So keeping track of all that stuff, it'll actually stack up. Ultimately, I'll have to do a minimum of like 3 to 8 outreaches. I'm expecting to do 8 for these people. So if anybody engages, it could go up to 8. So it could go up to 80,000 outreach efforts is actually what I'm looking at for the next 100 days, which is a lot. It is a lot. I thought 10,000 was a lot, but recognizing that it could go up to a lot more is a little scary, but that's just what the process is right now. So, I just wanted to record this so we can include it or parts of it in the day in the life. And it's been fun. And I'm going to continue to do it. So I'll probably record myself at the gym while I'm doing my workout today and sending messages in between my sets. That's going to be life for the next 100 days. Even as I get more productive and more efficient at this, my focus needs to be productive and hit this goal and learn throughout this whole process. So my work is going to stack more. So even if I can get through 100 new contacts in 2-3 hours, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to ramp up my process and cognitive load to be able to do that and stay on top of that. I will also need to be working then on following up, reviewing what's working, looking at the data. This is going to be a big effort. It's going to be a big effort. And I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the challenge. I'm excited for the learning and growing that it's going to be. And I'm excited for the results. So there we go. Recipe Pro is going to continue to fight for its place in the market, right? We have a great competitor that has a product that looks similar on the surface, but they're a backup product, and they do a great job at backup and restore. And to be able to do that with Snowflake is a great option as well, because Snowflake is a data lake, so backing up to Snowflake is a great option. So having them for that. But what we do is we focus on business-ready data, right? We look at understanding how you use your data so that you can send data to Snowflake, but not out of context, right? You can send it to AWS as well, and Azure and other places, but it's not out of context, right? You don't have to have your opportunities separated from your accounts. We do it completely within your Salesforce org, so there's no, whatever your security policies that's done, it's a different product what we have with an overlap in terms of the connections and destinations, but that's all. So I'm really excited about us both being able to serve our clientele with their different needs and being able to grow. And I think it's going to help us expand the market quite a bit. And so very, very excited about that. Very, very stoked. And it's a challenge. It is a competitor. It is somebody that can come in and they have a very good sales team. They have good history and track record in the Salesforce ecosystem. We're newer in the Salesforce ecosystem. They're an older product that is looking to upgrade and enhance their scope of functionality. And they say copying is the best. It's the greatest form of admiration, right? It's the best compliment you can give somebody. So we feel highly complimented by them, but we definitely are excited to be able to use that as a way for us both to find our place in the market. And hopefully our place in the market is going to be exactly where we projected. All right. Back to work. back to more contacts. So as the work continues, sometimes, you're trying to push through and you're doing something new, and it takes a while for you to get, the positive feedback that you're looking for, and, you're able to get some feedback, essentially, some contacts start getting back to you so that you can start engaging. But what I want to share here is what I think is important. Isn't that, you get overly exuberant, right? You have to be high energy. You have to provide that for whatever engagement you're doing. But the real mastery is in trying to stay steady, right? So, even as I make this phone call and I get this contact going, I don't stop, right? What we'll notice here in a little bit is that once it wraps up, that I get back to the work, get back to the process, right? And because I have other work items to do this day, it's not just reaching out to contacts. This is an additional thing that I'm doing. I can't really allow something additional to detract from my regular demands unless I've been able to fully delegate them. And even then, that shouldn't allow me to detract. It should allow me to do more of whatever my next priorities are. There's never something not to do in a business. Now, once you've reached a point where systems are created and automated, and you've put the right people in place, and you've trained it, and you've trained people to train those people, yes, you won't be hands-on on those portions, but the business still has needs all the time, and it always has opportunity to be growing. If it doesn't, its opportunities to be dying. So there's always work to be done, and so you have to get back to it. You have to, do your best. But throughout this, it was, pretty tough. At this point of the day, also, I'm, pretty tired since I didn't sleep much the night before. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I didn't record it, but I did went and take a nap, later that day. So that's also pretty important. Sometimes you have to, in between, you have to gauge yourself and make sure that you're monitoring your body, your brain, your performance, your output. Those things really matter. It's the only way that you're gonna make sure that you have consistently high performance is to notice when the dips are coming. And when you notice the dips are going back to a certain threshold, you have to have a process to recover. So this is something that I learned with a coach of mine. His name's Hassan Bash. It's fantastic. I hired him for business performance coaching, and I had noticed that I would have these great peaks of high performance and just working at 10x the speed and 10x the output of any of my peers, and it's always kept me ahead. But I'd also have these troughs, and I had gotten to a point where these troughs were actually starting to extend and trend, and I thought I was regressing in my productivity. And we came in and simply put into place some strategies that really allowed me to always be recovering, always have strategies to compensate, and therefore always outputting my maximum. And that's about what we've done today. Alrighty. So far that's the work day. The next part for me is I like to go to the gym every day. right? So I'm gonna go ahead and go and do some resistance training. This mesocycle, I'm doing back and chest as a big focus, so it's gonna be a little bit of a back day. I did hurt my hand today and burned my hand, unfortunately, with some boiling water, which doesn't mean that most of my body's protein is going to be going to repairing my hand. But it's good. I don't feel any pain, so I'm going to wear some straps so I can still yank some weights back. But I'm going to take it light. I'm going to take it slow, and in between sets, I'm going to be reaching out to clients. I have other work to do at the desk later when I get back. I think in terms of contacting people for day one of the Blitz challenge, it's pretty good, you know, way less than I thought I would have been able to do. I was hoping I would be able to hit 100 people day one. I'm at about 32, but that's the life, right? So now we go to the gym, and at the gym, in between sets, we take notes, we enjoy the process, we do break free, but we also take some time there to do some work, right? And then so I've got a little bit of a groove going. I'm going to continue to do work. Hopefully, if I can get, you know, one contact out per set, I should be able to total get another 10, 12 communications out to new contacts. So excited about that. And here we go, right? So I'm going to take this tripod to the gym, and we're going to record today's gym session, and I'll share with you guys some thoughts on the way to do it. So let's go ahead and let's get to it, right? All right, where are my AirPods? Let's take two different pairs of AirPods. Okay. Let's go. So fortunately for me, the gym is really full this day. Before I even get to start my workout, I have a ton of work to do for this challenge. So I'm, starting my outreach early, just continuing some of the work from the day as much as I can. I have all my leads uploaded to the cloud, so I have them all here, and just continuously reach out to them. So I think I made about 3 custom contacts at this point in time, and it's gonna set up a little theme for us in this gym session. So as I'm waiting for the chest supported row machine to become available, I'm just gonna sit here, type out some messages, do some research on the prospects that I'm gonna be reaching out to, and trying to do it as quickly and efficiently as I can, and all while thinking about the system that I'm gonna be setting up for the future. Just a comment on this set here. One thing you'll notice is that I really want to pull as much of the chest support as far back as I can, so that I can stretch out my back as much as I can and let it open up. And as per usual, I try to go as close to failure as I can. And it's back to work, right? It's not because I'm at the gym that I get to take a break. I have plenty of work to do, and as long as you know what tasks you're doing, the context switching becomes much easier, and you can just fall right into it, right? And that's what I'm doing here, which I found is just extremely helpful for me to be able just to take, some semi-extended rest, go very hard, and get back to work. And this is what I do regularly. People at the gym see me with iPads and phones, and sometimes the laptop's out. I'm just in between my really intense, for me at least, working sets. I'm just regularly trying to get whatever is needed for the business done. And so that way my gym time doesn't compromise my productivity. It adds to it, or at least in theory. Obviously, if I spent more time just doing work, I would get more work done, but the gym really invigorates me, keeps me in a really good state where I feel like I can be very productive, depending on the task, right? So for this outreach challenge, it's pretty perfect for me to be able to go through and, continue to practice and work on that muscle while I am pumping up and invigorating my other muscles. So I think I probably did some research here. Probably ended up with a contact, if not more than one. And yeah, that's just essentially the process, right? And then we get back and we do the final reps. One thing that you'll notice is that intensity, especially by my facial expressions, but just in general, is a focus of mine. If I know that I'm outputting close to my maximum, I know that I'm getting close to my maximum in return. And, right in between sets, it's becoming already muscle memory for me to immediately pull out my phone as soon as I'm done to, relax while I am doing research on the next contact that I'm going to reach out to, sending a message, and ultimately just continuing each portion, right? So when you can superset your workout with work, you can really maximize output. But intensity overall isn't just for the gym. You want to apply intensity, focus, and rigor in whatever area it is that you're doing. Now, there needs to be rest, there needs to be recovery, but sometimes recovering from one thing can actually be can be rest and recovery for another thing. And that's just really the point that I want to make here, even though, you see me seeming like I'm exhausting myself. I'm now exhausting myself mentally to do this research and to write out these messages and schedule any calls, but it's letting me rest from my workout. And then when I'm doing my workout, that exhaustion from my body allows me to do the same for my mind, which refreshes me for my next work set between my next workout set. So that's just my key point here. This clip is actually going to be cut a little short just because it's the same thing over and over again. And it's one of my favorite workouts. You guys will probably see it more often. So as you can expect, by now you see the pattern. Just before I do a set or in between sets, I'm just trying to make at least one contact and one custom outreach. And then I'm going to go in here, do some bicep curls. Just some comments on this. You'll regularly see me just trying to increase my blood pressure with some breathing techniques before I start something. And unfortunately, I can't help it, but I make a lot of faces. I'm not conscious of them. I just see them on these videos that I shoot for myself, and they're intense. But one thing I want to comment on is you'll always notice that since I'm regularly trying to get close to failure, that I'm trying to bypass my signaling. So at the end, you'll regularly see me, trying to go for a final attempt and waiting and seeing if I can do a final push before I finally give up on the set. And then it's back, right? I document the set and back to leads. And so right now, basically most of these outreaches are happening mostly through LinkedIn, some text messages, some emails if I've found some items or the person's not very active on LinkedIn. So depending on just what I'm finding as I'm double checking and reaching out, I am building custom messages and trying different formats and mostly doing them on the fly. Not really following a strict pattern, strict topics that we want to follow, but I want to test different language, different methods, different tonalities. So I'm just going through it and just trying to output as much as possible. So the more volume that I get to put into this process, the more I'm going to be able to document and build better patterns to train the sales team so that we can scale these sales efforts out further, just like we've done with the product over the last amount of time. So I was recommended to start learning how to do some good mornings and on the Smith machine, so you can see me struggling and having some bad form and range of motion here. But, got a good stretch, got some good contractions and a good pump. So hopefully it's a good learning lesson and it's good for me. In the long term, I definitely want to strengthen my hamstrings and posterior. It's got a lot of benefits for not only athletic performance, but also because I have some bad knees to really help protect my knees. But then, as per usual, it's back to, while I rest, reaching out to more contacts, right? And so this process that we're building back up from the bottom just requires lots of work, right? There's parts that you need to continue to put in work. And so regardless of what areas are the weakest in your business, that's usually where you want to apply the most effort to. Wherever you can learn more and apply more. So this whole process for me is going to be about a lot of learning. So as I'm reevaluating our systems and processes for research and outreach, which is good fun. So now that I've reached a certain level of leanness, I found that, I definitely need carbs and food to fuel my workouts. So I usually have a certain amount before and in between. And today I took some egg whites with rice that I made into like a pancake type of thing that I rolled up. I'm just eating it here after my workout so that I can get some protein, refuel my system so I can get back to work. And this changes over time. You just got to find what works. So I noticed that I was having a good day and productive, but I still needed to reach out to a lot more contact if I'm going to hit 10,000 contacts in the next 100 days. So I decided to do 15 minutes of extra recumbent bike. But that's how I make things work, right? I just try to focus on my priorities, make sure that they're always in focus and that I'm always incrementally contributing to them. So just the bike here was perfect for me to sit back, and I'm actually going to be doing it more so that I can leverage it and reach out. So I was able to reach out to a few more people and make a few more outreaches, and that's the process for me. So that'll wrap things up. Hopefully you found this useful and can extract some value from this. and that you're persisting after what matters to you.